Charles and Deborah have been a team here from their earliest involvement. They have a loving relationship that really reflects on all that they do here in the congregation. Deborah, of course, has been deeply involved in our Bikur Cholim, our visiting the sick. But from my standpoint, her most important role was in supporting and encouraging and nurturing Charles in the important work that he's done here within the congregation. Charles came forward at a crucial time, a moment when this congregation really was at the crossroads, whether it would continue to be bogged down by all the debts that we had occurred in the past, or whether we would take care of that and begin to build a solid future for the future generations of this congregation. And it was Charles who came forward, who took the reins of leadership in the Burn the Mortgage campaign, who guided it, who nurtured it, who made it successful, and then who made sure that we paid the mortgage, that we instituted the financial concepts that so much guide us now and allowed us to move toward stability, and not only that, but toward growth and development. And then he became president of the congregation, and he continued many of those processes that he helped institute at that point. For me, that's Charles' greatest contribution to his congregation.
I followed a great tradition in our family, which is that the men always marry above themselves. So I've been very blessed. I've got the 3 children, got Deborah, had my mom, I had my aunt, I had my uncle, I had my father for a short period of time.
And last year she had her bat mitzvah. She had that responsibility. I remember her coming home all the time, chanting her prayers, asking me for help. Yeah, the one that was always the strong one is coming to me for help.
Temple Beth Shalom for me has been my second family, and our family's second family. This is their second home, basically. We've lived here for 15 years. Almost every day we're here.
I remember we used to do flowers for the hospital people.
Yeah, my mom was very involved with the flowers in the hospital. She'd come home with like 20 vases and flowers, and then Hannah would go with her to deliver them.
And of Debbie, the Bible tells us that she was a great leader, an activist in her time, but she was also an Aim B'Yisrael, a mother in Israel, a Jewish mother.
I think that I see in Charlie a lot of his mother, that humor, that wit, that irreverence, the wisdom, the genuine caring. And those are the qualities that Charlie has, and certainly in Debbie equally has those qualities. And together they have brought them to our temple and to our community to make both better places.
Charlie Citrin became a giant in my eyes when I learned that he was co-chair of the Superintendent's Ball.
The most satisfying thing I ever did, other than my family, is I got very much involved with the school board, raising money for scholarships.
Charlie is very much admired for the fact that he took on the co-chairmanship of the Superintendent's Ball, and during those years, the Superintendent's Ball earned $50,000 at the beginning, and it got up to $500,000 at the end.
The greatest moment that I've had being President Temple was seeing one of the kids that had gone to Camp Coleman get bat mitzvah.
I think the legacy that he's so the proudest of is the fact that he was able to encourage and support the scholarships for kids going to Camp Coleman, that we were able to raise adequate funds to send any child that wanted to go. In fact, we were proactive in seeking out kids who might have been reticent about asking.
He sent a letter to Andy Herschel, his successor, telling him what it means to be president, the joys that you will get, the problems that you may have. And I thought that was such a wonderful gesture of handing down something that he loved to his successor.
He helps me read the books, and he helps me walk around with the Torah.
Of course, what Charlie has done for Temple Beth Shalom is incredible. He approached the job of being president with an energy and an intelligence that I think really is unsurpassed. And that's just Charlie's way. Charlie's a very smart man. Charlie is a wise man. And he brought those talents and abilities to his job at the Temple, and as a result has made the Temple a much stronger place.
He wasn't focused on Charlie Citrin. He was focused on the needs of the public school system, and the public school system is worth supporting, and so many people don't realize it.
The same expertise that he used for the fundraising for the ball, he used when the Temple Beth Shalom, which was where his heart is, needed a fundraiser who Charlie knew how to do it. He was an expert fundraiser, and he just got everybody involved.
I would say, as one of the rabbis of this wonderful congregation, I take my hat off to Charles, to Debbie, to Michelle, to Hannah, to Ethan, and I wish them the best of everything. They are the perfect honorees.
Rabbi Gail Pomerantz is a person that you're drawn to as soon as you meet her. She has a spark and a sense of soul that just jumps out at you and grabs you. When I met her the first time, I was immediately drawn to her, and I was amazed that someone as creative and wonderful as that would be in an administrative position. I was so pleased when our mutual friend, Rabbi Rex Perlmeter, told me that she was interested in coming back into the rabbinate and asked me if there was a position for her here at Temple Beth Shalom. I immediately went to our president and we worked out a position, because from my standpoint, having her here was more important than what she did. She affects people's lives. She affects them in everything that she does. And she's particularly touched the lives of the women of this congregation. That is to say, they can identify with her, they can see themselves as a Jewish woman, and they see this wonderful role model, a model we haven't had at Temple Beth Shalom in this role before. And she has filled it in the greatest of ways. My only desire is that we could have more of her, that she'd be more active here and more involved, but I am grateful to God for every moment that we have of her. She has a tremendous and continuing impact on all of us here.
Gail was a darling baby. She was always smiling, and she was a pleasure all through her life. She really was an easy, delightful young lady.
I first met Gail at Camp Coleman, somewhere in the 70s. She was a camper. Even then, at that time, she stood out.
I heard she was interested in becoming a rabbi. I was thrilled. I was happy for Judaism.
Being out here in the mountains, worshiping in the open-air chapel, and feeling the sense of community. That chapel was the first time I ever held the Torah. Here at Camp Coleman, I mean, that's what it's all about, is having the opportunity to draw close to Judaism. I am completely a product of the Reform movement. I went to a Reform synagogue, was confirmed there, went to Camp Coleman for 9 years, went to the Reform Rabbinical Seminary. I can tell you that it's because of Camp Coleman that I became a rabbi.
I think that Gail is such a blessing and I mean that in the most spiritual sense, that, you know, knowing her and having her a part of the life of this institution and a part of the lives of every person she touches. I mean, every experience with her is a true connection.
I think that Gail is living proof of why we should have more female rabbis, because she has been such a wonderful example for Jewish women.
To see Gail in action is to see the most spiritual person who makes you feel so good about being Jewish. And I know as an adult learner, she makes you want to learn more, because she leaves you with a lot of answers, but also with a lot of questions. So, and for me to be bat mitzvahed under her was, with 8 other beautiful women, was truly a real experience.
I feel very, very lucky to be married to Gail. I'm very proud of her. I think that this event that's coming up is a wonderful tribute to her, and I couldn't be more delighted that the community that we live in holds her in such high esteem.
She has the ability to reach out to people, to bring them in, to gather the confidence and the trust and the understanding that's required in order to communicate. That's her special gift.
I understand and can express Gail best is I am so in awe and amazed at what an integrated person she is. That she, in her role as rabbi, as woman, as mother, as friend, as wife, those are all completely integrated roles at all times. And so whenever you're speaking with her, whenever you're connecting with her, you're connecting with all those pieces of her all the time. And she's so incredibly comfortable having all those pieces be her at all times. So she'll be on the pulpit giving a sermon, and one of her daughters will run up to her, and she'll have one daughter on a hip, and she'll continue with her sermon.
So many of our friendships and so much of the part of living here on Miami Beach is really made so much nicer for us because Gail's such a part of the community and so well loved by the community that we live in.
To know Gail is to love her. It's as simple as those few words.
She's a walking, talking mitzvah project.
It's wonderful to have Gail be honored. We're very proud of her. We've always been very proud of her.
She was in love with Judaism.
She's a tremendous wife and a wonderful partner in life, and she's an absolutely phenomenal mother.
Every time I hear her speak, I have to wear a shirt a size larger because my chest expands.
And I want her to know how blessed we feel that she's here.
Yes, I'm ready now. Then close your eyes and tap your heels together 3 times. And think to yourself, there's no place like home. There's no place like home.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like
My father talks about it very often, about how my grandfather was like the godfather. He was responsible for his entire extended family, and he opened those doors through the Royal Palm to everybody he could.
I don't remember if my dad ever thought about getting paid for what he did. In other words, part of his life was to give of himself. My mother also realized that that's what he was doing and encouraged it. But then when I met Carol, in a sense, Joe was the head of a large family, the Harrises, the Osherovs, the Nevilles, people who are still here in this community. And I think that not in every good sense, he was the godfather of that family.
It's very exciting to see, I'll call it the chip off the old block, but not my block. It's Joe Rose's block.
Well, and I think all of that is important. The kids are civically involved doing different things, and yet they all come back to home, because home is where the heart is, and that's really and truly where they feel most comfortable. They're always in touch with us. The entire family is always in touch with each other. I think the essence of my being here tonight is due to the family support that I've had over this last year. And I can't pay greater tribute to my family without mentioning their love and support.
I think there isn't a day that I don't wake up and say I'm thankful for our health. And we've all had brushes one way or another. And with all the things you look at, the one thing that you want to have is your health, and I'm most thankful for that, for all of the members of our family. And all the other things come along secondarily.
And I owe what I am today to that wonderful lady, so old and gray, to that wonderful Yiddish mama, mama.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick road.
I was the first Unger to come to the Shalom.
And she's very proud of that.
You walk into this synagogue and it's like you were here yesterday, no matter when you come. The same friendly faces are there, people want to know what's going on. It's that kind of an institution.
A place that both of us, I think, associate with being together with our family.
Temple is, it's, when I walk into the temple and I sit there, a calm comes over me that I feel nowhere else. And it's a wonderful feeling. I feel like I belong.
I reestablished coming to the temple, and now I'm teaching Saturday school here, and it just gives you the feeling of community. People know you here, they see you around Miami Beach, and they're like, oh yes, you're the teacher in temple, and they know me from here. So I think it's really just established like a second home.
The temple has meant so much to our immediate family. It really was our children's second home.
I feel like I'm part of something that's absolutely wonderful, and they're wonderful, giving, kind, just the most wonderful family that I've ever come across in my life.
You know, I think we work as a team, an interlocking team. I mean, we work as one. And I think that's the way we live our life every day.
I'm thankful for Steve. I'm thankful for our kids. I'm thankful for his parents who taught him to be a wonderful person.
I think we've tried to weave into the essence of our children those lessons of community and of giving and of being concerned.
They like when Kiki and Papa give me ice cream for breakfast. They love them very much.
I am blessed to have KK and Pop-Up and my parents and the loving Unger family in my life.
If you think about within our own family, most of the illnesses have come and are being overcome. And we've been very happy with the way our children and our grandchildren have turned out.
To be able to come to an event like this and be honored in this fashion is beyond the entire Unger family's wildest dreams.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You'll find he is a wizard, a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does.
When I think of the Unger family, I can think about them as individuals, but I can also think about them as a family, and that's somewhat rare. There are threads that bind all of the Ungers together, at least in my mind, in my dealings with them. I know them as individuals, I respect them and care about them as individuals, but there's something about them as well that seems to be a cohesive element as a family. One is their creativity. They are enormously creative as individuals. All of the Youngers have this kind of spark that they add to whatever they do. And the second is energy, an incredible amount of energy. And they pour it into every project, every aspect of their lives. Sometimes it exhausts you just to be around it. And then there's that sense of what I might call old-fashioned values, the sense of loyalty and commitment and total immersion in what they're doing and honesty and integrity. You always know whenever you're dealing with any of the Youngers of any generation, from the oldest to the youngest, that you're going to get a sense of their integrity in this. They're going to pour who they are in it. I think it's a marvelous sense that this is one cohesive unit, and I'm proud that we're honoring this Unger family.